right, well, welcome everybody. My name is Lori Schwartz. Thank you, Margaret. President of Waterfront Partnership, and it is an incredibly exciting day today. First, I want to recognize our top staff, all of our staff, starting with Healthy Harbor. Adam Lindquist is somewhere running around. You know Adam. And we have Chelsea, Allison, and Chloe, who work closely with Adam, and you might see them a little bit later. And our Waterfront Partnership team, including Amber and Matt, Aaron, Stacy, Melody, and Marina. Just raise your hands, everybody. We have an incredible team. We would not be here without, and we have several board members here. We have Gerben, Jen Dryben, I saw Nicole Nesbitt, James Bond, I'm sorry, Terry Donahue. I apologize if I missed anybody who walked in that I didn't see yet. But it's a big day for us, and it's a big day for Healthy Harbor. Do you like my jewelry? I wonder what today's about. You might see stores in Fells Point starting to sell these more than you see today. So when Waterfront Partnership was formed in 2005, it was led by Mike Hankin and Mike Obidi. We started with the traditional kind of clean, safe events marketing program that a lot of business improvement districts focus on. We were doing good work on the land side, but around 2009, Mike pulled me aside and said, you know, we're looking away from the water. And that's the most important part. We should be facing the water, and we should be focusing on the water. And so that's when the Healthy Harbor Initiative just got started. We worked with Biohabitats and the Center for Watershed Protection to prepare a plan for how do we clean the harbor. But as important as having a plan is, setting a goal is important. And that's what Mike is all about, setting a goal and then driving us to that goal. And I remember at one of our meetings, we had maybe a dozen people sitting around the table. Mike handed out small pieces of paper and said, write on that paper the year you think the harbor will be swimmable and fishable. And I'm not sure I ever saw what those papers said, but Mike looked at them all and then said what he wanted to say, not what the papers said, which was, we're going to set a goal of 2020. We're going to make the harbor swimmable and fishable by 2020. And here we are, it's 2023, not very far away. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is making the harbor swimmable and fishable. Maybe now, maybe later, we'll find out. So everyone agreed it was an audacious goal, but that's what makes it all the more exciting to celebrate the progress that we've made. So without Mike, without that goal, we wouldn't be here celebrating something pretty huge. So I want to introduce Mike to tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah. 2020, 2023, what's the difference? So I think there was something called a pandemic in between. But good morning. This is going to be a lot of fun. First, I want to acknowledge folks from my team from Brown Advisory. How many people in the room today work at Brown Advisory? So what we're going to talk about wouldn't have happened without you. Tremendous team behind this effort, cleaning oysters, going to trash wheel fundraisers, buying Mr. Trash Wheel swag. So thank you. I really appreciate the support of the team here for the last 15 or so years. So 12 years ago, I stood before a similar group and said, as Laurie said, it was time. It was time to do something about the water. And it was a very scientific study, Laurie, that's with all due respect, that we said, let's do it by 2020. And in fact, I said I'd jump in, maybe even swim across, and people thought I was crazy. They still do. But after they tell me I'm crazy, they say when. When is it going to happen? And Every time we talk about it, every time we talk about Mr. Trash Wheel, every time we talk about another significant investment in the sewage system by the city, every time I point outside and say, did you see the heron right there, the eagles? Did you see the rockfish following menhaden? Did you see in August and September the rockfish fleet come over from the east side of the Chesapeake Bay, fishing right here? It's been incredible, and every time I bring it up, people say when. Well, I understand people want to know, and we're getting close. Are we ready yet? Not yet. Let me talk for a minute about what it will mean when we say we are ready. It'll mean that rather than looking at this body of water with disgust or sadness, hopelessness, we can look at it with pride. We can look at it and marvel at the amount of activity out there, the people's kayaking, people sailing, people fishing. We'll look at it and we'll notice every day there are herons out on that pier. There's a yellow-crested night heron sitting out there right now, if we had the screens up. Every day there will be fish, crabs, and towards the end of the summer, I bet you we will see dolphins again. It's really, really cool. We will have reached a new status quo where we look at this body of water and say, we've really achieved something. Is it perfect? Will there be more work to do? Absolutely. There always will. But just like Chicago did with Lake Michigan, just like Boston did with Charles River, just like San Diego does every day with the beaches going up from the border about 50 miles north, we will have reached a point where this body of water is swimmable most of the time, and we will manage it as a healthy ecosystem. So, we're getting close to the time. Where's Adam? Should we tell him, or should we just show the film?
I think we should roll the film.
Let's go, guys.
Growing up in the city, everyone came to the harbor, but the water was off limits because the water was just dirty. You didn't see wildlife, no fish, no crab. People would ridicule you for even thinking about getting into the water at the harbor.
So much of our city's history is tied up with its access to the water. When we first moved here, there were still tugboats everywhere. It's a special neighborhood, but one afternoon I was so frustrated and angry, recognizing that it was this incredible asset that we couldn't really use.
Children deserve to be able to play in clean water and swim in the harbor. To me, it's really a right that they have.
When I look back, I got to be honest with myself. I really didn't understand how I could make a difference here. I described myself in the early days as I'm the crazy guy that said we were going to do it. We set a big goal for this body of water to be swimmable and fishable in 10 years.
Mike is determined, smart, pushy, and insistent that it can be done and we'll figure out a way. Always optimistic.
For generations, people have been told you can't touch the harbor. People would tell us people don't care about whether or not they can swim in the Baltimore Harbor. We really needed to change that stigma. Everything that we did, I thought, how can we make this a plan for engaging the public?
30 volunteers out in Canton doing a little gardening to help filter stormwater runoff.
All of the trash goes right into the storm drains with no filter into the harbor.
Back in East Baltimore, it's projects like this that keep pollution out of Maryland's waterways.
We're in Baltimore at the inner harbor, it's plenty of wetlands.
When we grew oysters in the harbor, we chose a way that was as volunteer intensive as possible. Everyone told me, you're nuts. These oysters are all going to came to Mr. Trash Wheel, I had no idea that it would become the most engaging thing we ever did.
On the farm, we had this funny old piece of equipment. It was originally meant to be horse-drawn. It was called a hay pitching machine. And it would scoop the hay up and pitch it onto a wagon. And I thought, well, you know, that ran off the power of its own wheels. Why don't we harness that power using a water wheel? Here is sort of a choke point. You know, the trash wheel stays here all the time, waiting for the trash to come down the river to collect.
When I first came to Baltimore, I didn't know what that thing was. I was like, what is this? It's a piece of artwork? That's what I thought. It's this big, silly thing with these huge eyeballs that just grabs people's attention.
One of the reasons the Inner Harbor is in better shape is because of Mr. Trash Wheel.
There's this whole fandom that's sprung up around Mr. Trash Wheel.
And he's really become a character online.
I am so excited that we are about to install our fourth trash wheel in Baltimore City.
People see the difference that the trash wheel makes, and you realize, maybe I can make a difference too. Maybe there is a better future than the present.
This year, Waterfront Partnership has been testing 5 days a week. That is something that's not done anywhere, even at swimming beaches. We test for fecal indicator bacteria. Yes, talking about poop.
When Healthy Harbor comes in with a sample, we are looking at anaerococcus bacteria. We're analyzing and coming up with a number. If they're too high, the levels can make us sick. I do it every day. I'm looking to make sure it is okay for people to swim.
My job, I guess, was being part of an organization that said, like, this is real, the harbor should be clean, and pushing the city to cleaning up their sewer system. That was the big thing.
Back River wastewater treatment plant was the first treatment plant for the city of Baltimore. It's about 100 years old. During storm events, the plant would actually get into battle stations. The sewers would surcharge and overflow, and they overwhelm our sewer system. So we could see up to 500 million gallons a day into streams that would drain into the Inner Harbor or other surrounding streams around the city.
There are a lot more people in this area now than it was even when I was little and growing up here in this city. That's a lot more trash, it's a lot more waste, it's a lot more water, it's a lot more of everything that we have to handle appropriately.
What we're trying to do with our treatment system is protect the environment. So we rehab sewers, build new sewers, line sewers. As the headworks have been online, the water quality is significantly better.
Nature can rebound pretty quickly if you give it a chance. Adding floating wetlands, adding more trash wheels now, bit by bit, incrementally, we could begin to see more of these little habitat zones, which are, you've heard of dead zones, right? Why not create life zones?
You could see that we've come light years from where we were to team up with Mike and Laurie at the Waterfront Partnership. Been an incredible thing to be part of.
So much good work has been done to clean up the water of the harbor. You can swim in this harbor. It is safe. There are times of the year where this water is probably almost at the same level as you'd find offshore at Assateague or Ocean City. This inner harbor behind me is thriving with life.
It's calming out here compared to the normal Baltimore lifestyle when it's all crazy and everything. This is different than only what we see. It's wildlife out there, like real wildlife.
Today, the water is outstanding, and it's stunning, how beautiful it is, how clean the water looks, to just to sit back and say, we got it done. People can do it now.
swim with us. Think about it as you are speaking up. You are making a statement. This is important. We got to keep it going.
So that happened in September. About a dozen of us. We're all healthy. It was a stunning day, and I want to thank everybody. There's so many people in this room from Able, from Blue Water, from the city, county, state, lots of different environmental organizations, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Chesapeake Bay Trust, many, many more. But there's only one person that's been the guy behind the curtain. And without any further hesitation, I want to introduce Adam Lindquist. Thank you.
Oh my God, look at this crowd. All right, thank you guys for coming out. I'm sure a lot of you wanted to see Mike jump in the harbor. This is incredible. I told my wife this morning, this is like, feels like getting married or having a child. She did not appreciate that comparison. But really, this moment has just made me reflect back on the first time that I heard about Waterfront Partnership. All the way back in 2010, I was a grad student at College Park where I was studying water resource planning. And I was doing research for a class project, and I found that these crazy people in Baltimore wanted to swim in the Baltimore Harbor. I actually made it the focus of my final project. I got an A, and I figured that would be the end of that. Little did I know that 13 years later, I would find myself jumping into the Baltimore Harbor with the very same crazy people who set out to make that dream a reality. And Mike and Lori, your visions for Baltimore Harbor and the waterfront are so compelling. From Inner Harbor 2.0 to Pierce's Park to Rash Field to Mr. Trash Wheel, these are ideas that have captured people's imaginations and inspired them to get engaged. I was just one graduate student, but over the years, no doubt thousands of students throughout the region and even across the country have been inspired by the work of Waterfront Partnership and done their own research projects and their own papers because I know, because they have all emailed me their questions over the years. And one day they'll hopefully all get to jump into harbors of their own. So what does it mean? What does it mean to have a more swimmable harbor? I think we should talk about that in a little bit more detail. We are not recommending that people jump in the harbor anytime they feel like it. There's more than just pollution out there, including commercial boat traffic, recreational boat traffic, jet skis, weather events. For the time being, we don't recommend that anyone swim in the harbor at any time unless it's part of a coordinated event with professional safety support. And that is what Harbor Splash will be. Harbor Splash will take place in 2024 right here at the end of Bond Street Wharf. Participants will need to register ahead of time, be 18 years or older, and wear personal flotation devices. And Ultimate Water Sports, a company we've been working with on our annual flotilla since 2016, will be providing on-water safety management. Is Hal Ashman here? Yeah. Hey, Hal. Good to see you. This is Hal, is the president of Ultimate Water Sports. Thank you for working with us on water safety issues over the many, many years. Swimmers will be assigned a time slot and enter the harbor in groups and can splash and swim throughout their allotted time. We do expect this first swim to be limited in size and scope. After generations of neglecting our streams and harbor, we expect a healthy amount of skepticism too. But this is just the beginning. We want to see other events like triathlons, swim meets, stand-up paddleboard races. We're so excited to see in the renderings for the new harbor place, they included a wave pool in the inner harbor. And one day we may even see a beach. So very excited to be announcing Harbor Splash is coming in 2024 to the Baltimore Harbor. Today, in support
of this announcement, we are also releasing our annual report card on water quality and restoration here in the Baltimore Harbor. And I just wanted to go over a couple highlights from this year's report. So let's dive in, pun intended. All right, so we talked a lot about Mr. Trash Wheel. So we have 4 trash wheels in the Baltimore Harbor: Mr. Trash Wheel, Professor Trash Wheel, Captain Trash Wheel, and Gwenda, the Good Wheel of the West. Invented by John Kellett. John, raise your hand here. I don't think enough people in Baltimore know how much the trash wheels have become a global model for cleaning up river plastics. I was just at a conference last week in Santa Barbara where the Benioff Foundation had given out $1 million grants to 5 or 6 different nonprofits around the world to basically emulate Mr. Trash Wheel. And they flew me out there because they had all been so inspired by Mr. Trash Wheel, and all of these organizations are now like in their 2nd year of cleaning up trash from rivers around the world, inspired by Mr. Trash Wheel. And they're like, you guys are 10 years ahead of us. What lessons can we learn? And it was really exciting to see. Our 4 trash wheels pick up almost 500 tons of trash and debris out of the Baltimore Harbor every year. This chart shows the amount of trash increasing, not because there's more trash in the harbor, but because every couple of years we've added a new trash wheel that has helped improve our collection. Most recently, Gwenda over there at the end of the Gwens Falls, who picks up more trash than the other 3 trash wheels combined. So really significantly, yes, I love Gwenda, and she's beautiful, and she's beautiful. We mentioned, the video mentioned the improvement in bacteria scores in the Baltimore Harbor, driven predominantly by the city spending over $1 billion on repairing its sewer infrastructure. And when you look at the reports from the Maryland Department of the Environment tracking how much sewage is overflowing into the Baltimore Harbor, we see a 97% reduction over the last 5 years, which is game-changing for the Baltimore Harbor. Talking about water quality, some of you may have remember last year there were challenges with the Baltimore wastewater treatment plants, including the Patapsco wastewater treatment plants. So it was really important for me to dive into the data this year and understand what we've seen happening at those treatment plants. We've heard that the repairs are going well, that the treatment plants are back in compliance, but what's even better is to see that reflected in our data. So you can see that in 2021, the bacteria score at the outfall of the Patapsco wastewater treatment plant, sampled by Blue Water Baltimore, received a 40% after receiving 100% in every year that we sampled prior. So it's great to see that in 2022, that score returned to 100% of the time water samples at the treatment plant outfall were safe for recreation. In addition, we have phosphorus and chlorophyll scores, which are indicators of ecosystem health. They declined quite significantly in 2021. They are slower to rebound than the bacteria scores, but we have seen significant improvements in both of those scores as well. So the repairs and improvements at the Patapsco wastewater treatment plant are working. Thank you, DPW. Thank you, Mayor Scott, for your leadership on that. And where would we be without our many great elected officials who have taken up the charge of Healthy Harbor over the years and helped us clean up the Baltimore Harbor, been inspired by Mr. Trash Wheel, used Mr. Trash Wheel's data and photos to help pass really critical environmental legislation. Most notably, the statewide ban on foam containers, which I believe started here in Baltimore City. And we have also banned plastic bags here in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. And what's fun about Mr. Trash Wheel is that not only does his data support these bans, but then we can see the impact of these bans. So you can see we've seen a 90% reduction since 2019 in foam containers in the Baltimore Harbor and a 72% reduction in plastic bags. Huge game changer for the Baltimore Harbor. Now let's talk about water monitoring. Where's Allison and Chloe? Allison and Chloe, there's Allison and Chloe over here from the Waterfront Partnership team. You saw them in the video. You guys rocked it in the video, talking about poop. They have gone out every day and sampled water quality Monday through Friday, and we have posted those results online every weekday at 5 sites around the Baltimore Harbor, giving us a data set, giving the scientific community a data set that never existed before. So we can be hyper-focused on how clean the Baltimore Harbor is and on what days it's safe for swimming and what days it should be avoided. No big surprises there. The Baltimore Harbor, like much of the Chesapeake Bay, is impacted by stormwater runoff. After a rainstorm is when the harbor is, and a lot of the Chesapeake Bay is not safe enough for swimming. But if it hasn't rained within 48 hours, our water quality tests pass with flying colors, which is phenomenal to see. This chart is showing the change in bacteria scores going all the way back to 2009 when Blue Water Baltimore first started its water monitoring program. And what you can see here is that less than 50% of samples were passing the bacteria beach swimming threshold in 2009. Today, about 80% of those samples are now passing that beach threshold, which is a huge improvement and the reason why, one of the main reasons why we felt like it was time to start utilizing this harbor as a recreational resource to start jumping into the Baltimore Harbor. Also, finally, I'll just add, other species are doing it too. Like wildlife in the Baltimore Harbor has been increasing this past year. There was so much wildlife out there. This picture in the upper right-hand corner is a fishing charter from the Eastern Shore. Multiple Eastern Shore fishing charters were coming to the Baltimore Harbor this summer because it was the best place in the bay to catch rockfish. And so that's what these folks have done. They've caught rockfish right here in the inner harbor of Baltimore. We've got turtles. We've seen thousands and thousands of menhaden swirling in the harbor. This is a baby terrapin that was found by magnet fishers over in Fells Point. We saw, and of course, the dolphin who was spotted earlier this year, probably chasing those rockfish up into the Baltimore Harbor. So, and then I think the last thing I'll add is that we want people to come out and swim with us. We think it's going to be a phenomenal day and a beautiful event. But if you're not interested in swimming, there's other ways to engage in the Baltimore Harbor too. In August, we released our plan for the Baltimore Blueway, a water trail, curated network of water trails for paddle sports enthusiasts. So come out and kayak in the Baltimore Harbor. Whether you stand up paddleboard, canoe, kayak, the Baltimore Harbor is a phenomenal place to go paddling. Nowhere else in the Chesapeake Bay can you find so many attractions, including environmental restoration projects, historic landmarks, and beautiful natural systems like wetlands over in the Middle Branch. Nowhere else in the Bay can you find all of that within a 3-mile radius. So I love it when people come out and paddle the Baltimore Harbor. It's a really beautiful and terrific experience and another way to engage with our waterways. And with that, I'm going to turn back over to Lori Schwartz.
Thank you, Adam. Adam could have gone on for hours about all the work that he and his team have done to reach this point. So, good summary, Adam. Thank you. So, our mayor doesn't need a lot of introduction. We know who the mayor is, and I won't give any background like normal introductions, but we are thrilled to have Mayor Scott here today and to have a mayor who is adventuresome, adventurous. He's kayaked to press conferences we've had. The one we had for the Baltimore Blueway. He's kayaked to the 4th of July celebration with the BSO at Rashfield Park. And as we all heard, he's ready to jump in the harbor. And he came prepared for that. So please welcome Mayor Scott.
Good morning, everyone. There's only one question. Is everybody ready to jump in the Baltimore Inner Harbor now? Are we going to try it again? Is everybody ready to jump in the harbor? That is more like it. I am so excited to be here. I would have come by kayak today, but I couldn't, unfortunately. But listen, my team's going to be mad. I'm not going to read any of my talking points today because this really is about celebration. We are talking about progress in Baltimore, and this is an example of what Baltimore can do when we all come together. Nothing in this city, nothing in this world can't be accomplished by Baltimoreans who are focused, who have a mission, who have a goal, who are a little crazy, as we all have to be to think about these things, and who just stick to that mission. So I came here today to celebrate, but also to push us to finish the job, to say thank you to Adam, to Lori, to Mike for having big, crazy ideas and sticking with it, to the great team at DPW for doing our part of what we had to do as a city to make sure that less and less sewage was flowing into the inner harbor, to everyone who works at every single agency, every single nonprofit, everybody who volunteers their time, to the Trash Wheel family, thank you very much. Everybody, because the inner harbor is the center of our city. Everybody that says anything about Baltimore talks about this body of water. And it really was a travesty that for generations that none of us were able to fully enjoy it. But now we can do that. And we can do that more and more. And we can do that most days. As long as it hasn't rained for 48 hours, you can do it. I'll be very clear. The mayor told me I could. It rained yesterday. But we also know that now we're unlocking part of our full potential as a city. To have, as we had when we talked about the Blue Way, to have those kind of recreational opportunities on our water. This summer at that press conference, I had the opportunity to take about 12 young people who had never kayaked in their lives, who were terrified about kayaking, out on the water for the first time. And they said, Mr. Mayor, this isn't that bad. And the city looks so calm and peaceful from here. I want to do this more often, changing lives by allowing them to see something that they see every day from a different view. That's what unlocking the full potential of the inner harbor does for all of us. And when we think about Baltimore 10, 15, 20 years from now, it will just be a distant memory of tires, of tugboats, of trash, of styrofoam, of plastic bags. For the next generation, they'll be thinking about new improvements, a new inner harbor, a kayaking station, thank God, so I don't have to make one myself somewhere along the promenade. That is what we're talking about, allowing Baltimore to truly grow into its full and best self by unlocking our best national asset, allowing people to do things. I remember, Mike knows this story very well, the first time I saw someone fishing and crabbing in the inner harbor. I was right outside the door here filming the 2020 Democratic National roll call, and I was waiting for the film crew, and I said, are they fishing? And I looked, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, no, I'm crabbing. And I was like, there's no crabs in there. It's the harbor. And I looked, and he had a whole thing full of crabs. It struck me so deeply that I called both of my little brothers, who no longer live in Baltimore, and said, you are not going to believe what I just saw. That's the change that has happened here. As someone who has seen the dolphins and the wildlife from a kayak, and well, let me tell you, there is no view of Baltimore like one from a kayak in a harbor, so please join me for the 4th of July. It's the best way to come into the fireworks. We truly have a team here dedicated to showcasing the best of Baltimore, and I can't wait to jump in the harbor whenever we jump in, and surely to wear this vest as I kayak throughout the beautiful inner harbor of Baltimore City, because it is what helps to make Baltimore the greatest city in America. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mayor Scott. Now I'm going to bring up someone we've been working with for years and years now. He works for the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science. His name is Eric Schott. Eric received his BA from Reed College in Portland, Oregon, and his PhD in genetics from the Harvard University School of Medicine. He assumed his present position as research assistant professor for the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science at the Institute of Marine and Environmental Technology in 2010. The research lab that Eric runs focuses on understanding aquatic health, particularly the discovery and tracking of estuary pathogens in the blue crab and other shellfish. But Dr. Schott also applies molecular methods to monitor the health and biodiversity of the Baltimore Harbor, which is what he's been doing with us for so many years. Dr. Schott, please come up and say a few words.
I'm ready. This is actually hiding my notes. Read my notes. So I had some comments about how this is the environment, it's an ecosystem. I think you guys made all my points. The mayor stole my thunder. But you know, since Baltimore was an industrial powerhouse, before and after and during, this harbor has been a fully functioning ecosystem. It's the ecosystem you get with what you put into it. And as you heard, it's full of rockfish and crabs, and they don't come here by accident. They're here because there's food and there's habitat. It's a place for them. But it's not always been such a healthy environment for people. And the Healthy Harbor Initiative, I just want to shout out for them. They've really provided a forum for diverse stakeholders to all work towards the shared goal of a harbor that is a healthy ecosystem for people. So for scientists like me and my colleagues at the Institute of Marine and Environmental Technology, which I'll stop saying and just say IMET, just about a half a mile away on the inner harbor here, it's opened up collaborations and conversations with nonprofits and municipal partners and helped us learn as academic scientists where our scientific approach and our capacity can help meet this shared goal. So 5 years ago, the Waterfront Partnership contracted with IMET to better understand the microbiology of the harbor. And for the next 3 summers, we used state-of-the-art genetic methods that are more precise at detecting sewage contamination than are the EPA regulatory methods that are in use. And occasionally, and more than occasionally, the more precise methods showed that the harbor had little or no sign of sewage contamination when the standard methods did. This did not mean that the water was always safe, but it did mean that it was safe to contact more of the time than we might have known just using older technologies. So an urban waterway like this has, as you heard, has more hazards in it than just sewage contamination. For example, fishermen and boaters know that the bay can have naturally occurring bacteria that cause skin infections and illness. At IMET, we measured the incidence of these naturally occurring Vibrio bacteria and saw that these were no more prevalent here than they are anywhere else in the Chesapeake Bay. So I just want to acknowledge the real hands and brains that were behind this microbe study. Over the years, as you've heard, students, graduate students, undergraduate interns, and even a visiting Fulbright scholar from Egypt were participated and trained in state-of-the-art methods to support clean water. And they got to, and what I really love is what they love is they got to participate in a project that has real local environmental relevance. So these scientists have now joined a community that the Healthy Harbor has fostered, including the aquarium, Blue Water Baltimore, Downtown Sailing Center, so many others, I can't name all of them. And they're all involved in committing to the job of making the harbor a healthy ecosystem and keeping human well-being in the frame, in the center. And I guess I'll just finish and say that, that IMET is really enthusiastic about continuing to work with this community to make the urban estuary the healthy environment for everyone. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, especially, and yeah, thank you for working with us on this project for so many years and for making sure that our science has always been sound and defensible. We really appreciate it. Okay, next, our last speaker, I believe, is kind of the unsung hero here, which is we're going to be talking to someone from the Baltimore City Department of Public Works who have a hard job dealing with all of the waste that Baltimore City produces, whether it be sewage, whether it be trash, and really we could not be cleaning up the Baltimore Harbor without them. I remember a couple years back when everybody got municipal trash cans in Baltimore City and what an impact that had on the amount of litter we are seeing ending up in the Baltimore Harbor as well. So I'm happy to invite the interim director of the Department of Public Works, Richard Luna, up here to say a couple words.
Thank you, Adam. On behalf of the Department of Public Works and 2,000 employees that do everything they can every single day to keep this city beautiful and clean, I just want to say thank you all. It's amazing to see the amount of people that are here. It's a beautiful day out here in Baltimore City. I want to thank Mayor Scott for his tremendous leadership, for leading Baltimore City and our agency and all of the investments that we've made into both of our wastewater treatment plants. It has been a Herculean effort to get those plants into compliance and maintain that compliance over a series of months. I want to take a moment and thank Mike Hallman, who you saw in the video, but just to give you a little bit of background, Mike leads all of the hundreds of staff that work at Back River and Patapsco. He has daily meetings with his staff. He holds everybody accountable, not just our staff, but our contractors. But it's a tremendous task that he has done and really taken the reins at bringing both of those plants into compliance. And without his leadership, we would not be in the state we are today. So I want to take a moment to thank. Just wanted to take a moment to really properly thank Mike for all that he does day in and day out. But like I mentioned and like we highlighted in the video, those two plants are performing at their absolute peak right now. They've had tremendous progress in reducing our overall permitting levels and really keeping all of those materials down. So both of the wastewater treatment plants, like we mentioned, they are on the right path forward to maintaining that compliance and maintaining the health and sustainability for our waterways throughout Baltimore City and the region. So again, on behalf of the over 2,000 employees that work in the Department of Public Works, I just wanted to say thank you all.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. We hope you'll sign up for our plunge next year or our splash. The video, several people have already texted and emailed. The video will be available on harborsplash.org, or you can email one of us, one of the team members, and we can send it to you. We thought we would show it again. Feel free to get up and mingle, grab some food, leave if you need to, but for those who want to see it again, we're going to show it again. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you at the splash or plunge next year.